Right, we are back on the Audi. Since the last video, it's been about a week, and we've left the brake booster pressurized, and it stayed at about 10 psi. So we know that the braking system doesn't have any leaks. We've still got trouble with either the master cylinder or the pedal, so we're going to have a look at that. But the plan is, whilst the front end is still off, we're going to drag this outside and we're going to get all this cleaned, clean up all these hoses and just make this engine bay look really nice. With the front end off, it's going to be so much easier to do. So we're going to get on with that. That is the majority of the car cleaned off. I'm not sure how well it comes up on camera, but the engine is a million times better. All these little bits here, just the colour's really popping now through the engine bay. And also right up under the arches as well. It's all looking really good. Just makes it a lot cleaner, a lot better to work on. We can actually see what's happening now when we fire this engine up. If oil or anything's coming anywhere, then yeah, we can see where it's coming from. But next thing is, because it doesn't run, we're going to push it back onto the ramp. And it's back on the ramp. It does look loads better. I mean, you can see there's just little clips that are popping in the light now, and bits in the engine bay which are just really kind of standing out, which is good. Next plan for this is to have a look at that brake booster and also then start working on the engine. Now it's all nice and clean, it makes it really easy. So yeah, that's going to be probably the next half of this video. Right, back on the Audi. Today's game plan is get the Cambelt done. I'm going to pull the coils off and put the spark plugs in. I have noticed that one of the gaskets hasn't been seated properly, so that needs seeing to. Anyway, but I'd like to get this thing running today, get the belt done, put the fuel pump, connect that back up and see if it will go. That is the new Cambelt on. Relatively simple on these engines because it's longitudinal, so it's nice and easy to get to. These 1.8Ts, they have like a tensioner, preset tensioner, where you pull the grenade pin and it'll then add the tension to the belt to take it up. I've taken it twice round and all the marks line up, so I'm happy with that. But whilst the spark plugs are out, I'm going to throw a compression tester in there just to see how healthy these cylinders are. Whilst the plugs were out, I did a compression test on each of the cylinders. Number 1 and number 4 were quite a bit lower than 2 and 3. Not a massive amount. I mean, this engine has sat for sort of 13 years without being run, so it might just be all a bit dry and a bit rusty in there. So it's probably worth coming back to this after the car has run for a bit. But yeah, it's all healthy numbers, so that's good. Audi update, new Cambelt is on, that's ready to go. Water pump was done by Dylan, alternator's back on as well. I gave that a strip down and a bit of a rebuild. Put all the pulleys and belts on. I did connect a battery because I wanted to see if I would get any of the old fuel. I've put new fuel in the tank, I just want to see if it would pump some through the lines, but I'm not getting any fuel through. The pump isn't turning on. I did pull the relay out for the fuel pump and that seems to be working okay, so I think there is some wiring problems or something's not triggering the fuel pump. I plugged the VAGCOM in and I got a load of fault codes. These fault codes here, one of them was the charcoal filter solenoid fault code there was the N75 valve as well. All 4 injectors, I got a low voltage, it could be the battery, that one, and O2 sensor. Now the only thing that worries me about these fault codes is if I go back to the car, oh God, trip over everything. If I go back to the car, so there's the injectors, there's the charcoal, and the N75 is down here. The only thing that worries me is they're all on the same loom, which goes through to where the mouse was, so I'm just hoping that Mr. Mousey hasn't chewed through any wires when we put the battery on, it's popped something. But that's something to look at a bit later. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to get all the front end put back together. There's loads of bumpers and bonnet and stuff. I want to get that all put back together before I start stripping any more bits off. Front end is loosely bolted on, and I have got the rear bumper on. Rear bumper just looks so good on there with that. Those exhaust tips that we polished up really does finish the back end off. Yeah, so fuel pump, we're still having trouble getting it to actually push fuel through from the tank. Now the hose in the tank was split, so I've got one of those on order, but what we're finding is the actual trigger inside the car, when you turn the ignition on, the relay's working, we think, but when you switch the ignition on, it's not telling the relay to switch on, which powers the fuel pump. Now, if we bridge the 2 terminals on the relay whilst it's in there, it provides power. So power is getting there, it's just not being told to get there by whatever's going on here. So we've taken the steering wheel off and we're going to test all the wiring there. Alex did test the fuse panel as well, and that kind of fixed our ABS. The ABS fuse was gone and the ABS pump clicks now, so that might be one of our fault codes. And also, Smokey did a great job refurbing our bonnet latch. That was all seized. The bonnet was up when we got the car, so I think a lot of crud had got in there, but that's all working now. Front end's temporarily on. I want to fill it with coolant once it's running, just to check we haven't got any leaks. But yeah, front end is slowly going back together. Unfortunately, we haven't got the car running this episode as we like to. We have got a lot of things ticked off the list. There's still a lot more to do on this yet before we get running, but we are going to park this project for a while because we've got something really exciting coming in the next video. So make sure you subscribe to get up to date with that, and see you in the next one.